mountains and 8 seas make one world. 1,000 worlds make one chiliocosm. One chiliocosm to the power of 3, and there's nothing I can't cut.
Boruto 2 Blue Vortex Chapter 28 was absolutely one of them ones. And I had to really sit back and think this through. A lot of people will break down TVV in a different way, but for me, honestly, I believe this chapter 25 technically, but this whole arc that we've been going through, 25, 26, 27, and now chapter 28, the close of this latest volume, it's the start of the third official arc of 2 Blue Vortex. The first arc I will count as from chapter 1 up until the events of Boruto's arrest and escape from Konoha, so 1 to like I think 13, maybe 13, 14, and then the second arc from like 14, 15, all the way up to chapter 24. It's kind of hard when you think about it, because that first arc was actually pretty gas. The second arc, I loved it, especially Mangekyo Sharingan Sarada popping up, Boruto versus Juro, and then Kawaki versus Juro. If you had to ask me, the second arc probably had the best fights. The first arc had the best fights when it was just the first arc, but still some of the most hype moments. Himawari popping up and being revealed as Kurama's Jinchuriki, Inojin dying, Hidari and Juro popping up into the village for the first time. We saw Boruto and Sarada fight together. Like, I just can't get that arc out of my head. But this arc, right? I'm saying all that to say, chap, this arc might just be it. So we officially got things kicking off. The debriefings are going down. The interrogations are falling through the mud. And then Mamushi is walking through the streets talking about some, hey, brother, have you seen the latest of Ada? What's the news? What's the drop? And everybody's looking like, brother, we would like to know that information too. So Boruto 2 Blue Vortex, chapter 28, titled New Powers. We talked about a good amount of the information or the details in this chapter throughout these spoilers, throughout my previous spoiler videos. So those of y'all who haven't checked those out, you can check them out. Boruto's sword, Inojin's jutsu, some of the other things we got to focus on. Of course, we got Karma Boruto popping up, the ambiguity, right, around this guy Kawaki. Did he get his full powers released? Was he getting limiters added onto him, or I guess you could say more power added onto him from a model? Were they in the middle of procedure, or were they just like going under regular maintenance and stuff like that? A whole lot going down. And then Mamushi, right? Because a lot of the skirmishes we seen from Mamushi earlier on, we didn't see him obviously do the divide ability, but now we understand he has this type of fire style, I guess dragon breath type of jutsu, bro. And cat, bro, I'm not gonna cat. A lot of these shots, bro, you looking at Mamushi's teeth and he's just smiling and his grin just, bro, look like his breath is hot. I'm not gonna cap to nobody. I'm thinking like Boruto probably got slammed against the wall towards the end of the chapter when he's dodging Mamushi. Nah, bro, the powerful force of his breath pushed Boruto against the wall, and he's out here trying to escape to get away from the scent. We thinking he using the karma to absorb the flames. Nah, he's trying to absorb the scent bubbles and toxic air that's around him, because ain't no way you can get away from that. He can't just sit here and hold his breath, right? All jokes aside, though, of course, the chapter was absolutely amazing, and I think, I'm going to say this again, is gearing up to probably be one of my favorite arcs throughout the entirety of TBV. So, we open up the chapter with Inojin working on the new jutsu, and we see him there, and Kashikoji and Boruto are both there as well, and we see it kind of take shape. Now, it's a little iffy. I guess, I'm gonna be honest, when it comes to Inojin's jutsu and Boruto's sword, it was like, first hearing about it, I was like, man, I guess it's kind of lame, but then getting more used to it, I'm like, I ain't gonna care. It is kind of helpful, right? And then also, we have to understand, I already said this time again, we wasn't expecting, at least I wasn't expecting Inojin to come back with some big bombastic blast jutsu that might one-shot Mamushi. I was like, it could be a possibility, but we know he's not a heavy hitter like that. It's going to be something that can be very essential and very useful, and as we see, according to Kashikoji in previous chapters, he would be exaggerating if he said this jutsu wasn't useful, and we come to find out this jutsu detects Mamushi in the middle of the things going down. So we see how he's practicing, and then they have some little dialogues between Koji, Inojin, and Boruto. And later on in the chapter, Inojin basically explains the jutsu. Typical mind transformation jutsu, mind transmission jutsu, right? The only thing that's different is that the people that are connected with this jutsu are used as a receiver to basically detect vibrations from frequency waves that are around them. So basically, everybody that's connected to Inojin's jutsu right now, everybody that Shikamaru called, which mind you, is a freaking dream team. So let's just go over them. We got Amato. We're going to go over the lame ones first. Amato, Shikamaru himself, Kawaki, you know what I'm saying? We got Sumire Boruto. We got motherfucking Sarada. We got Chocho. We got Himawari. We got Shikadai. We got Biggie Nojin. We got Mitsuki. We got Ada, of course, and we got Top Dog Damon. And then the lovely, the beautiful, the one and only Delta, right? This squad is heavily, heavily stacked. And Enojin is explaining to them, y'all are all receivers. So basically everybody that can hear my voice right now, I can detect the movements and vibrations around you. And with that, he is able to figure out where Mamushi is. And in a split second, my guy Boruto flying Raijins ups out of there and gets to getting gritty right there on the battlefield, right? So after Boruto is talking to Enojin, they're impressed. He learned the jutsu in one day. And then, you know, we got the infamous Enojin bald-headed meme.
What? Chora não, vagabunda, chora não.
Boruto's like, bro, just giving you one opportunity. You make Himawari cry even once, gang. It's over for you. And I'm not gonna cap. Y'all know I rocks with Enojin. That's top dog. He became one of the likable characters throughout TVV. But I gotta stand with Boruto on this game. You make Himawari cry, it's GG's for the haircut. It's GG's for that Sweet Life of Zack and Cody ass mop bucket haircut, bro. And I'm not gonna hold y'all. Yes, we love to make fun of that haircut. Yes, it's always funny to make fun of the Justin Bieber style 2016, 2013 haircut. But if we keeping it 100, Enojin makes it work. Like, it's the type of haircut that just works for this nigga Enojin, right? Right. So anyways, we move on into the chapter, and then we see Shikadai and Shikamaru going over a lot of contingency plans. And then the typical, as we've been seeing throughout TVV, people are wary of Boruto, but they can't help the fact or contradict the actual truth that's been laid in front of their eyes. He's protected and defended the village time and time again. And also, he himself isn't operating or seeing Konoha as an enemy, despite their memories, despite their beliefs. He's the one who killed Naruto. According to Enojin, you destroyed the Uzumaki family. According to Shikamaru, he's a traitor, a betrayer that he can't ever agree to come to terms with. But since people like Sarada and people like Himawari are deciding to defend this man, and in the case of Himawari solely becoming a ninja just to help Boruto, he has no choice. And I'm not gonna lie, Team 10 holding it down for the Uzumaki household, because in the midst of all this chaos, they're like, at the very least, we gotta protect the star. We're not letting Himawari do this by herself. So Shikamaru was like, let me know your choice on the matter. Are you going to operate on this mission or not, right? And that's when we get everybody's reveal who's going to be operating on this mission, right? We talked about that in the spoiler. Kashin Koji and Enojin's typical every 5-chapter conversation that explains prescience, that explains his future sight ability, and Enojin's acting on the same thing Boruto asked in the pre-time skip, right? He's like, why can't you just tell us everything that's going to happen if you already know? And Kashin Koji explains, as it's been in every time travel movie, the more you know, the more things will change. Long story short. So at the very least, if I'm not telling you something, that means I'm trying to keep that ideal future intact. So after their clarification in the middle of Kashin Koji and Enojin, that's when Shikamaru reaches out to the Dream Team, to the All-Star Dream Squad that I talked about earlier on in the review, when he's calling out to all of these heavy names, and Kashin Koji's like, at the very least, bro, let's just avoid this future where we see Ada all treed up and Himawari dead. And it's obvious that this occurs within this arc, or at least in a future where this arc happens. Mamushi invades the village. He's able to somehow get the drop, or able to at least separate Ada from Damon, which is something I've been emphasizing, going to continue to emphasize until we see how this pans out. But he triifies Ada, i.e. devours Ada, and kills Himawari, possibly Himawari maybe defending Ada, or just being a victim in the middle of a battle, right? Aside from just saying, oh, no Damon in the panel, we have to understand, where the hell is Boruto? Where's Kawaki in this future? Why is Enojin, the one who's right now currently with Kashin Koji? Granted, this is the future where he doesn't learn this new jutsu, but why is Enojin the only one in the front lines on the battlefield, right? No Kawaki, no Boruto, no Damon. A lot of questions to be asked, but definitely a future we need to avoid. And by Damon's own words, he won't let him lay even a finger on them. And we know everything's been getting gritty, and the chaos is just leaking, and then Mitsuki is just itching at the moment. Like, I ain't gonna cap. Himawari and Mitsuki are letting me know, like, how much of a real nigga Boruto is. Because people are saying, technically, Himawari wanting to help Boruto is her wanting to help Kawaki. Yes, but if you look even deeper, it's literally her wanting to help Boruto Uzumaki, because if their memories are swapped, but she still feels for some reason, nah, Boruto has to be in the right, it's because she understands, I can't say she knows for a fact that Boruto is her older brother, but she knows He's not at fault. That guy, not just saying, "Oh, my adopted brother that came into the village." That's how she perceives Boruto. Yes, but she's really thinking like, "Nah, this guy can't be at fault." And we know for a fact that guy, Boruto Uzumaki, is not at fault. I think it's more so deeper than just the memories. I think it's more deeper than Himawari perceiving Boruto as Kawaki. Yes, she cares about Kawaki. Yes, she cares about Boruto, but something internally is telling her, just help Boruto, not just Boruto as Kawaki because you think he's Kawaki or where. No, right now something's going on and you can't understand it. At the very least, become a ninja and help this man. And Mitsuki, in the same sense, no matter what type of godlike jutsu you do on this man, bro, he's not gonna forget his son. Let's just say that he offered to break out of an interrogation where he's still perceiving Kawaki as Kawaki, Uzumaki, and Boruto as Boruto. He's like, nigga, you want me to break out and go lend Boruto a hand right now? Like, what's the word, right? So all of this is going down. And then we talked about in a previous video, Sai and his connections and his connecting the dots and trying to get the drop on this guy, Konohamaru. So in the midst of all of this, like I talked about, Mamushi pops up. And when Mamushi pops up, we get to see Boruto's new sword finally in action. And I ain't gonna cap, shout out to Summer. We know that the sword is gonna be OP. We know it's got reforged and reshaped, and now is officially a katana, not just a regular blade. And it has a new compounded material mixed into it. We don't know that yet. Sumeri left that in the end, left us in the dust, so we're going to be left speculating for the next few chapters, it looks like. But every time Boruto takes on some type of blunt force, I see people point out his blade is turning black, whether it can be some type of force type of manipulation where you think MCU, like with an adamantium or vibranium suit, where it takes the force and reflects it back, or is kind of like absorbing the shock and using it to reflect it back, kind of how we see when Boruto blocks an attack from an oncoming Mamushi. His feet sinks into the ground and the blade turns black and he swipes, and we see the edge of the sword turning silver and he's cutting through his. I ain't gonna lie, the fight, the choreography, beautiful. But Boruto is slicing through this guy Mamushi like butter this entire chapter. He did not need that damn karma seal. It's because of the factors, right? One, they don't need Jura infiltrating the village if the village is too destroyed to a point where Jura just doesn't care anymore, right? And then two, Boruto is able to flying Raijin Bijou bombs out of the vicinity from close range. You think he can't dodge a fire style blast breath from Mamushi? Of course he's not going to let the local bookstore burn down. His favorite jacket store probably get turned into crisp. We remember when he fought Mitsuki, he was like, bro, you're literally destroying the area. And that was one of the earlier fights Boruto had within the village. And he made it a point to fly out of the village in order to fight Mitsuki because of how destructive Mitsuki was being. So at this point in time, I think the factors of whatever mysterious deal Boruto had with Momoshiki plays a role, but also the fact that they're in the village. Right now, there's no Kawaki and there's no other option. And plus, we don't need Jura popping up. Yeah, let me just go ahead and absorb these flames with this karma. And we see Boruto saying like, yeah, man, nigga can't get used to this type of feeling. And it's been 3 years in verse, and I talked about this in my previous videos. It's been 3 years out verse. We finally got Karma Boruto popping up. Now, people are saying we're gonna see the you lowly inferior creature. And now shout out Momoshiki. I rocked with Momoshiki, but right now I'm trying to see Boruto turn up. That's all I want to see. I want to see Karma Boruto in his right mind, in his own senses, turn up and beat the brakes off of these next two Mamushi clones. We see right now this chapter, it was Boruto essentially versus 4 Mamushis. Granted, the one Mamushi stayed on top of the balcony, but the other 3 jumped down after he killed 1. He killed 2 this chapter. Right now, there's 2 left. So I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I'm not trying to be picky, but once we see like Damon, Sarada, Himawari, Kawaki, I want to see how these niggas handle Mamushi clones. Because right now, Boruto was facing 5, he off 2, and then he activated a power. So if I see somebody struggling, right, we're going to start having to bringing up some fraud allegations. I'm joking, but honestly and truly, I want to see what Damon is going to do against these clones. Seeing how Boruto can cut down 2 of them so easily slicing through their eyes. It can be granted some of the mysterious compounded materials Sumeri placed into his sword, which we got to talk about in general, because I don't know why people are wanting Sarada to be able to be registered with Boruto, or even Himawari being able to be like, it's not in their arsenal. So that's definitely going to be addressed later on, but I didn't even think it was that big of a deal. I just enjoyed the fact that Sumeri jazzed up his sword to the point where like it's enough to talk about and enough to theorize, because we still got to guess this mysterious material she added to it and how it enhances his sword. But at the end of the day, I don't think he needed this karma seal, but we did as a community, because it's been 2 years. It's going over 2 years now since TBV. We haven't seen Karma Boruto. We need this. The streets need it, and I think it's really about that time. So out of all of these arcs that have been going down in TVB, I think this arc might be gearing up to be the one. And who would have known it would be the Mamushi arc, right? So let me know, what are y'all thoughts below. How do y'all think Karma Boruto is about to proceed moving forward, and what do y'all think this dream team is about to accomplish? We got Team 10 in Sector B, I think. We got Team 7 in North Sector C, basically just going to be Sarada and Mitsuki whenever he gets out of interrogation. And if Konohama can be there, we know that the other half of Team 7, Boruto and Kabuki, they're going to be flying, riding around the village, popping up to areas that need help, and Kabuki is going to be adding aerial support from that angle. Game is going to stay next to Ada. Amada's going to be in the room wherever he's going to be at. All of these characters are going to have major roles to play upcoming forward, and I'm looking forward to it. So let me know how y'all feel about it. Boruto 2 Blue Vortex Chapter 28 was straight gas. My guy Karma Boruto is finally here, and it's time to get gritty. Holla at your mama, holla at y'all, black y'all out. Yes, sir. Ski.